So, over the years, I've talked on and off about set building, and the truth of the matter is, building a basketball card set is, in my opinion, one of the most fun and rewarding challenges in the hobby. Whether it's a classic vintage set like 57 Topps, or a more modern release like 2022 Flux, there's something special about checking off that last card and flipping through the full set in hand. But let's be real, the cost of tracking down and buying every card can add up fast. So much so, you might feel a little apprehensive about chasing a set of your own. But you shouldn't let that stop you. That's where strategy comes into play. And I'm here to help. So today, I'm going to walk you through how to build a set without overpaying. Everything from choosing the right set to making smart purchases and tracking your progress. And by the time this is over, I hope you'll feel more confident about completing your set of choice without putting a huge strain on your wallet in the process. So let's go ahead and jump right into step number 1, which involves choosing the right set. And this is something that only you can decide. Don't worry about what others think. This is going to be your set. So you're going to have to ask yourself some questions. Are you looking for something vintage? Or do you want to go with something more modern? Is this going to be a graded set? Do you want a set that's going to take some time to complete, or are you after something specific like the 93-94 Scoring Kings insert set? You have to decide exactly what it is that you want. And then before you commit, you'll need to figure out your budget and consider any potential roadblocks. For example, when I decided to go after the 57 Topps set, I knew the Russell rookie would require major funds. That was obvious. But sometimes when you start a set, you'll discover the toughest cards aren't always the ones you anticipated. For example, when I was chasing a signed 72 Topps set, it was a few of the lesser known guys who gave me the most trouble, and not Pete or Wilt like I had expected. While I ultimately did end up finishing that set, had I known that kind of information ahead of time, I think I might have modified my approach a little from the start. On the flip side, if you really want to collect a difficult set, don't let some of these really expensive cards hold you back. Last year I was at a show and I told a dealer I couldn't collect the 48 Bowman set because the George Mikan was going to cost me way too much. And his solution was simple, yet profound. Just grab a reprint instead, which is going to end up working great for me because it allows me to still chase a set I really like, while at the same time saving me a lot of money in the process. Now, if you want to save even more money, you might consider narrowing things down to a subset. Find a set you like, and just focus on the Hall of Famers, or the All-Stars, or players from your favorite team. So in a way, that lets you get the best parts of some sets without having to spend thousands, and then later on you can always build from there. At the end of the day, I think these are all viable options. Just remember, whatever you decide to do, this is your set, and you should focus on the kind of stuff that you like. Okay, so once you know what you want to collect, you've got to figure out how to track and organize your set. And if you're not careful, the cost of this step could add up faster than you'd expect. But it doesn't have to. The first thing you'll want to do is locate a checklist for your set online. I recommend checking out the Trading Card Database, a free resource that allows you to print out your checklist or track it digitally using a browser on your computer or phone. And that can come in handy when you're hunting cards down at a shop or a show. Personally, I like to keep my checklist in Excel, but whatever way you go about it, just know that there are plenty of free options available. Once you've got your list in order and you're ready to start purchasing cards, you'll need to prepare a way to physically store them. If you decide to collect a raw set, there's a good chance you already have an extra 300 count box or an old spare binder at home. If not, well, then budget accordingly. As you guys know, I've talked a lot about binders before. I'm a big fan of the BCWZ Folio, which lets you store cards in penny sleeves and also has a zipper to help keep things closed. There's a similar version I also like called the Card Guardian. Both options typically cost between $20 and $30, depending on the size and the color. Now, if you're chasing a graded set, you'll need to consider storage options for slabbed cards as well. And while they do make binders and pages that are custom fit for those, I haven't personally found them to be an effective use of space or funds. In fact, most people go the route of plastic carrying cases or cardboard graded boxes instead. Most of my sets stay in one location, so the cardboard 2 rows work just fine for me. If you have a shop or a card show in your area, buying those in person is usually the cheapest option. If all else fails, you can always get creative and convert practically any box into graded card storage. I did that a few times during COVID when supplies were hard to come by. Just make sure that whatever you engineer creates a protective, snug fit so your cards aren't left moving around. Okay, so at this point you're almost ready to start buying, but before you do, you'll want to get a solid handle on pricing, because if you can identify what a fair price looks like ahead of time, it can save you a ton of money in the long run. My suggestion is to monitor eBay listings for a couple of weeks. 1, there's a good chance some of those sellers will send you offers, and 2, this will give you a general feel for what the cards in your set typically sell for, a skill that can come in handy if you ever have to make purchasing decisions on the fly. And then, of course, in situations where you have a little more time to look things up, you can check current comps on 130point.com. If you want to go even further back, you can pay for an app like Card Ladder, but for most sets, I would say that's not necessary. Once you've done your research, it's time to start buying. I mentioned eBay already. Most people start there. It's accessible, it's easy to save searches, and there are a ton of sellers on the site. Just keep in mind, however many times you buy an individual card there, whether it's 20, 100, or more, you're going to have to pay to ship all of those cards individually as well, and that adds up fast. That's one reason why I recommend looking for lots of multiple cards when you're starting out. It's also part of why COMC has become one of my main go-tos for set builds. No matter how many users you buy from, you can have everything shipped out to you for one low cost. Plus, you can sell cards on consignment and use the proceeds to pick up ones you want more, all on the same platform. Now, in addition to eBay and COMC, there are other marketplaces you should probably consider. I don't buy a lot on OfferUp or Mercari, but I make sure to scan the listings there every once in a while. Of course, there's Facebook groups. I can't tell you how many cards I've tracked down just from showing mail days on YouTube and social media, and then networking with collectors after the fact. I try to do some of those same things in person as well. If you follow my YouTube channel, you know I hit the local card show scene in Central Florida on a regular basis. I'm pretty picky about the things I pick up, but I do find cards for my sets every once in a while, and buying cards in person is almost always a little cheaper than buying online. When all is said and done, no matter where you decide to buy, the more research you do and the more buying avenues you explore, the more money you'll save in the long run. Alright, so there you have it. Those are just a few of my thoughts on building a basketball card set on a budget. Just remember, while it pays to be efficient, building a set isn't a race. Some of the most enjoyable parts of collecting come from the hunt itself, whether it's scrolling through countless listings, flipping through bargain boxes, connecting with other collectors on social media, and so on. So take your time, enjoy the process, and don't get discouraged if it takes longer than expected. The end result is always worth it. Now that I've shared some of my tips and tricks, I want to hear from you. What sets are you working on, or what set building tips do you want to share with other collectors? Drop me a comment and let me know. And if you found this segment helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Remember, there are new episodes of the audio podcast that come out every Thursday. And as always, thanks for watching.